At 10 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you live from Abuja. I am Norlin Ebel Ame. Thank you for joining us. First, the headlines. National flag to fly at half-mast in honor of late Chief of Army Staff and others that have paid the supreme price. Accident Investigation Bureau AIB gets the mandate to lead investigation into Friday's Kaduna military aircraft crash. And 90 travelers who arrived from India, Brazil and Turkey as persons of interest and potential health hazards to society are evading quarantine. We begin the news by informing you that President Muhammadu Buhari has authorized that the national flag be flown at half-mast in all public buildings, facilities and official residences with effect from Monday 24th to Wednesday 26th of May 2021. In a statement, the President says this is to honor the memory and services of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, 10 senior military and service members who lost their lives in the plane crash on Friday, 21st May 2021. The President has similarly approved a work-free day for members of the armed forces on Monday, 24th of May 2021. In the meantime, the Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB Nigeria, has been mandated by the Nigerian Air Force to lead the investigation into the crash of a military aircraft that occurred on Friday in Kaduna, in which the Chief of Army Staff and 10 other military officers died. A statement by the AIB General Manager, Public Affairs, Tunji Oketumbi, stated that the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder from the accidented Beechcraft 350 aircraft have been recovered and investigation has commenced. Investigators will download and analyze vital information contained in the recorders at the AIB's world-class flight safety laboratory in Abuja. Meanwhile, fidel for the repose of late Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, was held in his family residence, Sardauna Crescent, Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed reports that the Chief Imam of one division, Nigerian Army, Colonel Usman Musa, led other Islamic scholars in the prayers. The scholars also prayed Allah to grant the souls of other deceased heroes eternal rest. President Muhammadu Buhari has described Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, the late Chief of Army Staff, Coas, as an outstanding soldier and an institution builder who fought valiantly for Nigeria until he breathed his last. In a telephone conversation with Mrs. Fati Ibrahim Atahiru, the wife of the late Coas and the spouses of the other deceased officers, through her, President Buhari hailed the sacrifices of the military men who lost their lives and the armed forces in general, saying that Nigerians will continue to appreciate and support the fearlessness with which our courageous soldiers are confronting the threats facing the nation. He gave the grieving spouses assurances that the nation will never forget the supreme sacrifice of their spouses, urging them to take solace in the surge of extraordinary feelings of emotions across regions, religions, and ethnicity all over the country in appreciation of their sacrifices. The president, who had given earlier directives to the defense headquarters and the ministry to do everything a government can do to provide comfort and ease the hardships of the families of the deceased, prayed to the Almighty to repose their souls and grant their families the fortitude to bear the losses. Mrs. Atahiru On behalf of the rest of the families, thanked the President for the love and care he has shown them. In the same vein, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has condoled with the wife of Chief of Army Staff Fati Atahiru, her family members and the Nigerian Armed Forces in general over the death of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, as well as 10 other gallant officers who died in a plane crash in Kaduna on Friday, 21st of May, 2021. The First Lady described their death as the great loss the nation has had. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by the members of her family, as well as the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, the Director General, National Center for Women Development, Asebe Vilita Bashir, and the APC National Women Representative of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Stella Okotete, and other top Nigerian women, paid a condolence visit to the wife of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, describing his death as a national tragedy. While sympathizing and consoling his wife, Pati Atahiru, and other members of the family, the First Lady said, the selfless service of the late Chief of Army Staff and other gallant officers who died along with him will not be in vain, and pray to God to grant them eternal rest and give the entire family the fortitude to bear the loss.
Her Excellency consoled with the entire family, and she prays that the wife and children, God will give them the fortitude to accept what we cannot change. May Allah consult all of us.
And this loss is just not for the family, not for the Nigerian Armed Forces, but the whole of Nigeria. And we pray for Almighty Allah to repose the souls of the departed. Watching some of his programs, he was always so passionate about ensuring that we overcome the insecurity, banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism that we are currently facing as a nation.
We mourn the whole Nigeria. This is the time that Nigeria needs these gallant men. Unfortunately, they have left us at the time that we need them most.
The First Lady assured the family of her full support and the support of the entire Nigerian women in this trying period, and urged them to take solace in the fact that they have died as heroes while protecting the territorial integrity of the country. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Also, the leader of Nigeria's northern neighbor, Niger Republic, President Muhammad Bazoum, on Saturday has condoled President Muhammadu Buhari, the government and people of Nigeria following the Friday's plane crash that killed Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, the Chief of Army Staff, along with 10 other military officers. President Bazoum, who described the plane crash and the resultant death as tragic and unfortunate, expressed the condolences of the government and people of his country. He prayed to the Almighty Allah to repose the souls of the deceased and grant fortitude to their families, friends, and the entire nation to bear the losses. In his response, President Buhari commended President Bazoum for sharing this moment of grief with Nigerians and assured that the gesture was well noted. He expressed the nation's appreciation and gratitude for the sacrifices of the departed military men and promised that the nation will not let their families down. As the nation continues to mourn the death of the 11 officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Armed Forces who died in a plane crash on Friday, the Minister of Defense, General Bashir Salihi Magashi, has paid a condolence visit to the family of the late coas Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru at Niger Barracks, Abuja. Consoling the bereaved family, the Minister of Defense prayed for the repose of the souls of the departed officers and soldiers. In the same vein, the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Oshibaju, who joined the minister in the residence of late Brigadier General Olayinka, expressed sympathy to the bereaved family and prayed for God's mercy on the souls of the departed. On the minister's entourage are the Chief of Defense Staff and the 2 service chiefs of the Navy and Air Force. Now, in another news, a total of 580 bags equivalent to 120 drums of liquid substance suspected to be refined automotive gas oil, popularly called diesel, have been intercepted by men of the Nigerian Navy ship Lokoja along the coast of River Niger. The Navy paraded the culprits at the NN ship Logard. Correspondent Solomon Aide has details.
The 8 persons suspected of illegal bunkering were arrested along Itobe-Ida axis on the coast of River Niger, conveying the illegal substance worth millions of naira from Delta State in a wooden fiber boat by men of the Nigerian Navy ship Lugard, Lokoja.
We dey buy am for Delta State, for Warubia. If we buy am for there, we come for Ida to come sell. You know, I know say na this we carry, so I know say na illegal.
What the Navy have done so far, I think, as far as the state is concerned, we are very satisfied. They are doing their job on water. Other security agencies are doing a beautiful job on land.
We are here with a new vigor, a new mandate, and a determination to make sure that it is no longer business as usual for those who are involved in criminalities on the waterways of Kogi State.
Commander NNS Lugard Lokoja, Commodore Clement Atebi, who described the act as a sabotage on the nation's economy, warned criminals who now leverage on the waterway to perpetuate crime to desist or meet their Waterloo. In a related development, the command also paraded the duo of Halilu Audu and Aliyu Mohammed, arrested around Ajaokuta to be axis on Niger River, conveying 553.5 kg substance discovered to be cannabis sativa from Jegono en route loco in Nasarawa State. This achievement, the commander explained, was in line with the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Swaibu Gambo's directive on zero tolerance to all forms of criminality on Nigerian waterways. The suspects have been handed over to relevant agencies of government for further investigation and prosecution. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehin, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has apprehended a Brazil-based drug kingpin and also intercepted 36 blocks of cocaine weighing 27.95 kilograms with a street value of over 8 billion at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, Ikeja, Lagos. In a statement released by the Director Media and Advocacy of the NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, the arrested drug lord Ejiofor Felix Ekwereku, during a preliminary interrogation, confessed to have been contracted by his Ethiopian associate, who is a notorious drug baron, to claim and push out the consignment in Lagos, Nigeria. He further admitted to have paid the sum of $24,500 bribe in 3 tranches to compromise NDLEA officers. The first was $10,000 delivered through his representative in Lagos and another $10,000 via his first bank account, while the third tranche of $4,500 was paid at the point of his arrest, a fee that lured his arrest. His group is suspected to be responsible for recruiting traffickers to move illicit drugs to various destinations using Nigeria as their transit location. Chairman of NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, said the agency will not target only traffickers, but with the same vigor target the cartels and the kingpins that operate them. It's now time to take our first break. More reports when we return. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Now, the federal government has declared 90 travelers who recently visited or arrived from India, Turkey and Brazil as a potential health hazards to the society for violating Nigeria's COVID-19 travel protocols and evading the mandatory 7-day quarantine for persons arriving from restricted countries. The Presidential Steering Committee, PSC, on COVID-19 in a statement signed by its chairman and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, listed the violators as persons of interest who pose considerable danger to public health. They comprise 63 Nigerians, 26 Indians, and 1 Danish citizen who arrived to Nigeria through the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, between May 8 and 15, 2021, with Ethiopian Airline and Qatar Airways flights. The PSC says the violators must, within 48 hours of this notice, transport themselves safely to the nearest state public health departments for immediate evaluation, and also call the Port Health Services, Federal Ministry of Health, for further directions. While urging Nigerians to be aware of the affected persons, the PSC says further sanctions, including a travel ban on their passports for 1 year, cancellation of visas or permits of defaulting foreigners, as well as prosecution, will be carried out. Meanwhile, 40 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded nationwide within the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 166,019. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC records show that among the new infections, Lagos has 29, Abia and Ogun have 3 cases each, Kano 2, while Kaduna, Plateau and Rivers recorded 1 case apiece. Active cases nationwide stand at 7,476. Total discharged so far are 156,476, while the death toll remains 2,067. Saudi Arabia authorities have announced that only 60,000 foreigners will be allowed to perform this year's pilgrimage in the Holy Land. Special Assistant to Prime Minister on Religious, Alama Tahir Ashrafi, who announced this in a tweet, says the pilgrims would have to follow the coronavirus guideline protocols. The decision is to enable pilgrims access to the Grand and the Prophet's Mosque to perform the Hajj and Umrah. Saudi authorities had earlier announced that only people immunized against COVID-19 will be allowed to perform the Hajj. In the meantime, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria clarified that the final guideline for the 2021 Hajj operation is yet to be announced. The Commission, in a statement, says is yet to be communicated on the number of slots allocated to Nigeria. NACON, therefore, urges the public to consider the information being circulated as guidelines for 2021 Hajj as inconclusive. In an effort to checkmate the increasing cases of obstetric fistula and rehabilitate its victims, a health facility has been constructed and inaugurated to this effect in Kontagora, Niger State. Husseina Musa reports that the project, which is the brainchild of the wife of the Niger State Governor, Dr. Amina Abubakar Bello, will also empower the patients with skills before integrating them back to the society.
Still shares a higher burden of obstetric fistula, popularly called VVF, with about 1 million women living with the dehumanizing condition. Northern Nigeria accounts for more than 50% of the cases due to socio-cultural beliefs characterized by poor health facilities. The establishment of the center became imperative to tackle the increasing menace head-on, which saw the pet project of the wife of the Niger State Governor raise Foundation, in collaboration with other relevant organizations, established obstetric fistula camps where about 300 women were treated successfully. The facility, named after the wife of the Niger State Governor, Dr. Amina Bello Health Center, consists of a theater, 2 post-obstetric ward, a hostel, and skill acquisition center to address all aspects of VVF treatment and rehabilitation of its patients, as well as to serve as a hub for prevention programs across the north.
Additionally, we had trouble tracking the women for follow-up after their treatment, and so we were not able to rehabilitate those who came from far.
One person cannot do it alone. The leadership is important, but she needed to have all this support.
The Federal Ministry of Health will be more than willing to support this center in all areas possible.
This foundation and mainstream foundation came together and put this together. So definitely it's something to rejoice about, because it will change the lives of hundreds of thousands of women.
The inauguration of the center, which coincides with the International Day to End Obstetric Fistula, popularly called VVF, seeks to correct the misconception that the cause of the condition is not early marriage, but prolonged obstructed labor. Imena Hussaina Musa, NTA News.
I'm still speaking on inauguration. The Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line is set for inauguration. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi at the inspection tour says President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to perform the inauguration ceremony on the 10th of June this year. Oinayaka Loka reports.
Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi arrived in the mega station to kickstart the inspection tour from Lagos to Ogun and Oyo states, covering the 386-kilometer tracks. His major concern stepping out of the vehicle is the level of completion.
Are you ready? This is our last inspection. Are you ready? You're ready for commissioning.
The inspection tour took the minister and his team to the 10 stations.
You will see that the 10 or 11 stations are almost ready. Some of the underpasses are ready. Some of the overpasses are also ready, because at least Costain, the bridge in Costain that was demolished, but that has been replaced.
At the APM terminals, Apapa, with 8 new standard gauge tracks added and 3 narrow gauge tracks rehabilitated.
We intend to move cargoes from the seaport up to Ibadan. So some people may have to move their cargoes to Kano from Ibadan.
This is said to be the last inspection tour of the double-track standard gauge rail line, as President Buhari is expected to perform the inauguration ceremony on the 10th of June 2021. Oyinaya Kalo Oka, NTA News.
Let's shift our attention to business now. Development expert enjoins government and informal sector to focus on information and communication technologies. Let's join Kunle Ade for details.
Since all aspects of the economy have gone digital and most job seekers are ICT compliant, taking solace in information and communication technologies has been seen as a good antidote to unemployment. Engaging Nigeria's youthful population in areas like wireless networks, cell phones, computers, software, middleware, video conferencing, social networking, and other media applications will stimulate the economy. An investment promotion expert, Ogbona Okuku, said government programs and policies, including enabling environments, are the basic requirements to make it function effectively.
Things that have worked in places like India, where tech hubs are, things that you have to push your energy in. See, the areas of investment, as far as I'm concerned, is in human capital development, and that's one thing tech hubs come with. It comes with that enabling environment for people to express whatever they have in their ability to use their brain to work, develop things that you can actually sell. This entire disruption that is happening in the world, things have to get better. You have to think of better ways to get things done, and technology is the only way, and it still remains the only way.
He remarked that the federal government's partnership with Microsoft, which will eventually engage 5 million Nigerians, is a good development. With Business News, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Let's pause for another break. We'll be back shortly.